Hey guys, and welcome to This Is Now. This week, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo have all announced that they are committed to addressing the growing issue of loot boxes in games. Now, gaming is one of the only mediums of entertainment that arguably keeps getting better and better. One element that just sucks are random loot boxes. Whether it's a box or a crate or even a llama, they're absolutely everywhere in gaming, and it is no shock as to why. When you open up a box, players get a rush of anticipation for whatever cool item you will get, but then, more often than not, it's followed by disappointment. So you try for the next box, and the next, and the next. And it's pretty much you're constantly chasing the same rush as you get behind the psychology of something like gambling or slot machines. It's not really a good thing, especially when they get very expensive. Matt, what's the most money you've ever spent on a loot box?
About $100. Spent like $100 on in-game currency.
Oh. Balloons?
It was balloons.
Oh.
It was balloons.
Well, dude, I mean, there's definitely like multiple layers here, right? Because I think free-to-play games in a lot of cases, specifically mobile ones, seem to be the most egregious, but a lot of loot boxes are in full paid console and PC games. I mean, it sucks to spend $60 on a game and then spend another $100 on loot boxes. Now sure, in most cases you can grind to get that new loot box, but it could take hours or even days. But thankfully there is an alternative. Just pay some real-life money to speed up the process. Although I'm not sure if that's actually thankfully or unfortunately. I mean, how many people have called me a noob for using the default Fortnite skin in videos?
A lot.
You know what? Someone literally friended me on Fortnite and gifted me a skin purely for this reason. However, there's often a pay-to-win aspect with these boxes, where players feel like loot boxes are a necessity to stay competitive. Probably the biggest example is EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2. Boo. 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 The entire progression system was almost entirely based off of a random star card reward system. Now this is already a pretty bad system to start with, even without the loot box. Players really felt forced to purchase boxes just to progress normally, and again, this is a game that they had already spent $60 to purchase. We actually did a video on this a few months back with free-to-play games as well as the pay-to-win and microtransactions, and the gist is, if you spend money on a game once, the chance of you spending even more money skyrockets. I know personally for me, if I'm playing a free-to-play game and I really enjoy it, I almost feel sort of obligated to spend a little bit of money on it, even if I don't really want the items. But I think I'm probably in the minority. Most people are just hopelessly addicted. Balloons!
Balloons!
The Big Three's announcement was made at an FTC-sponsored workshop on loot boxes and their ethics. Several other companies in the ESA have also agreed to disclose the, quote, relative rarity or probability of items from purchases on loot boxes. From purchases on loot boxes? From purchases inside loot boxes? From purchasing loot boxes and getting things inside? How do boxes work?
You purchased them. That was a typo on my part.
Oh, I thought it was dumb.
No.
Thanks, Matt.
Nope, that's a typo. Usually you are dumb.
Among them was Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, and ironically EA, who recently went on record that loot boxes were, quote, not gambling, but surprise mechanics. Over the past couple of years, loot boxes have been gaining more and more attention from lawmakers, calling for legislation and regulation, which is basically never a good sign when it comes to video games. Nintendo already had to remove their Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing mobile games from the Belgian market because the in-game loot boxes fall under that country's definition of gambling. Back in May, the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act was proposed that would ban game companies from selling loot boxes to players under the age of 18. More importantly, it would prohibit developers from even including pay-to-win mechanics in games targeted for kids. Now, of course, that's a very tricky thing to actually define. Pokemon is a traditionally kids game, but how many of its player base are in their 50s, like Matt? Wait, did you just burn yourself? You wrote that! You wrote that you're in their Matt's over here literally making fun of himself. So you think I'm being mean? That's not true. Matt is writing this script right now and he just burned himself. I take no responsibility for that one. Instead, a lot of games are now opting for a Battle Pass model, which is actually popularized by Dota 2. Players pay a flat rate for the pass, and then they unlock new tiers of rewards as they level up. This isn't necessarily a better deal. Matt, you know that Clash Royale recently added a Battle Pass. $5 a month, and
it's a monthly one.
Your boy may have, yes. In fact, the most recent Battle Pass I think was like 29 days or something. Your boy may have spent a few hours grinding at the end to make sure I got the last couple of levels of my loot box. The exact specifics are still being worked out, but developers who want to distribute games on PlayStation, Xbox, or Switch will be required to disclose the drop rates for loot boxes by 2020. Now, I will say that PC exclusive games do not have to follow these rules, at least not yet.
So what we look at as as surprise mechanics. But I think it's important to look at this. So if you go to
For the past several years, Apple has had the distinct honor of being the richest company in the world. However, Google's parent company Alphabet has now overtaken Apple as the new richest company, with a cool $117 billion in the reserve. Now, to clarify, when we say richest, we're not exactly talking about revenue. Walmart and a bunch of gas and oil companies generate way more revenue, but their profits generally aren't as high. Instead, we're talking about cash on hand. Like Tim Cook walking out of the bank and be like, I need to withdraw $117 billion, please. Although he can't anymore because Google has more. Back in 2015, Google Inc. restructured their business into a new parent company, Alphabet, which included all of their subsidiaries, including Coleco, Waymo, and Nest, which later merged into Google. Basically, it's an alphabet soup. Oh, come on, give me that. It was an alphabet soup. While those other companies generate billions for Alphabet, it's no surprise the Google services like Android, YouTube, and the Play Store have been the largest chunk of revenue by a lot. And top of all that, recently the Pixel 3a did beat sales projections. While Google and Android fanboys might see this as an absolute win, with Google finally beating Apple, the numbers don't exactly tell the whole story. It's much less about how much money that Alphabet has made, but it's more so about how much money Apple is spending. At the beginning of the year, Apple had amassed an absurd $245 billion of cash on hand. For context, that's the equivalent GDP of the entire country of Peru. However, investors generally do not like it when companies have all this cash on hand. I mean, what's the point of having cash in the bank when they could be getting cash back into the business? Or more specifically, they could be just giving the cash back to the investors. So since 2018, Apple has spent over $175 billion just literally buying back their stock, which increases the price, which makes everyone happy. Except, I don't know, people who buy iPhones? Speaking of iPhones, while the sales have been on the decline for a while, Apple's been increasing the number of investments they make in new businesses. According to Tim Cook, Apple has acquired approximately 20 to 25 companies over the last year, including last month when they purchased Intel's smartphone modem business. That's insane. Cook says that these are smaller companies, which is why they haven't actually even announced a lot of these acquisitions, but it's still a huge investment. Now, on top of that, Apple's been investing into their upcoming streaming service and game subscriptions, and all of this means that Apple is a company which has traditionally made lots and lots of money in places such as the Mac, such as the iPad, but specifically with the iPhone. Now, as iPhone sales have sort of plateaued, they haven't kind of doubled and tripled every year, they're looking for other revenue sources and other ways to spend this money. But the key thing here is that they have so much cash in the bank that there's literally no reason for them not to go and investigate, you know, some company who might make the lens for the Apple glasses, or some company which will make a better screen for the Apple Watch 35. I mean, literally, they have so much cash on hand that there's no reason not to go and just make it rain, make it rain, make it rain. Speaking of new Apple services, 5 months after it was announced, Apple's credit card, the aptly named Apple Card, has finally started shipping out, if you're lucky. If you're also lucky, this segment is going to be hosted by none other than the world-renowned Apple expert, Ken Bolito. Round of applause, please. Round of applause.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, really, thank you. We're good. We're good now. We're good now. With the release, Apple joins an ever-growing number of tech companies who have their own credit card. Both Uber and Amazon have had cards for a couple of years now, and Amazon even recently released a new card targeted specifically for people looking to build or improve their credit. Thousands of people preemptively signed up for the Apple Card, but only a select number of people received emails that their new card was finally available. Like with all of their products, Apple has deeply integrated the Apple Card into their ecosystem. Users can apply directly in the Wallet app, and the card is integrated immediately into Apple Pay. By default, users are only issued a digital version, but they can opt in for a physical card, and in true Apple fashion, it is absolutely over the top. The all-white card is made out of titanium with the Apple logo etched in. The perks of the card are nothing special. In fact, it's pretty much on par with similar cards like, say, the Uber card. What distinguishes the Apple Card, however, is its commitment to security. Unlike just about every other credit card out there, the Apple Card actually doesn't have a credit card number. Instead, every time you use it, a new unique card number is generated. What this means is, say you use the card on a sketchy website and that gets hacked. Your data is still safe because the credit card number that gets stolen was only valid for that one purchase. Now, the Apple Card is genuinely interesting because it inserts them into this part of the market that they haven't been in before. Of course, there's Apple Pay and that's all digital, but a physical card might actually push some people over to Their camp, I guess. What are you?
What Ken's trying to say right now is that Tim Cook has a lot of money, and the Apple Card is going to literally mean that you're going to give him more money.
Give Tim Cook more money.
Wait, what? No, that.
Oh, no? No, we're not. Thank you guys for watching this episode of This Is Now.
Get out here. Thank you very much for watching this episode of This Is Now. Feel free to check out some of our other episodes here. You can subscribe to Ken, RIP, and most importantly, make sure to tell Matt that you love him because we all really, truly do.